Hello and welcome to another live stream. How are you doing? How was your week? Did you sail? All of the above. Hey, Rich, I saw you've been getting on the water. Europe has been windy. Have you been taking advantage of it? And if so, where? I have not been getting on the water. I've been busy with other things, but I will make up for that in September in Denmark, where we are doing two windsurfing master classes, and there's actually one free spot for the first week, September 2nd to 7th. There's no room in the house. The house is fully booked, but there is one spot on the clinic. So if you're interested, shoot me a message. Hey, Jorg, Axel. Nice. You guys getting in the water. Axel had a session on Kimsey, fully stacked with some waves. Awesome, awesome. What else? What else is going on? Where have you been windsurfing? Where have you been getting in the water? What have you been working on? Axel's been working on his jumping and backside turns on the lake. Was it a little bit starboard or port tack, Axel, or was it fully onshore? Rich has been getting on the water often in Udorp. Pozo sessions. Is this Ragnar? I know Ragnar's been in Pozo. We just saw he just posted to the Facebook group. We'll go over that today. Awesome. John, good to hear from you. Good to see you getting on the water. 4-2 and 3-7. Heavy days. Nice. Big days are always fun. They're hard, and that's what makes them fun. I love that feeling after those 4-2, 3-7 days where your body is exhausted, you're hungry for everything. Yeah, I love that feeling. It's a good feeling. Yeah, Domberg sections. Axel had it slightly starboard tack. Suna's having fun in Handsome. Nice. I've got to check the forecast. I have some commitments this month, but maybe I can squeak in a day. Matt also has been getting on the water. Nice. We've got we've got wind back in Europe. That's great. It's wonderful. It's been a while. It's been a weird year, I know, for a lot of places, and so it's great to see that there is wind again. Makes me smile. All right, let's jump into the Facebook group. You guys know the drill. You can interrupt me, post your questions, post your videos, all of the above. All right, I'm going to load up a Facebook group, and we'll go from there. All right. Facebook group. Go back up to the top. First up, we've got a post from Ragnar. Throw this thing in full screen. And so Ragnar has been in Pozo. It's been going off in Pozo. It looks like one of the best strings of windy days that I've seen in a long time. You know, people have been talking about the decline in Pozo conditions and talking about whether it's the harbor or whether it's changes in global weather patterns. Because when I was going to Pozo 2005, 2006, 2007, I'd go for 2 months at a time. We'd have a lot of days like this. And over the last 10 years, that just hasn't seemed to be happening. You'd have a few really extreme days, but not a stretch of good wavy days. But that seems like the last 2 weeks, basically since the event in Pozo, it's been going off. Who knows why? Let's just enjoy it. All right, so here's a video from Ragnar. Ragnar, I see a lot of progress from your other videos. Ragnar posts a lot in the group, which is awesome, and films himself a lot. And so he's got a lot of feedback and self-coaching possibilities. Something I want to draw attention to is in this first turn. It's a long bottom turn, but that's kind of par for the course in Pozo. And look at this board getting on the rail, and look at the spray it generates and the speed. Ragnar, Did that feel good? I like how it looks, so I hope it felt good because that is a nice carve there on the cutback. So this feeling of doing this kind of carvy cutback is what you want to look for in all your cutbacks and off the lips. Get because it's even though it's a different maneuver than the off the lip, you're getting the board in the same position as you want with the off the lip, where you're coming on the heels, you're getting your butt down, and you're getting that board on its edge. So we like to see that. We like to see that. And then coming up for the white water, and then here, letting the white water push you back. This is something that Ragnar has been working on, something that's going to come up again also in this video. See, presenting the bottom of the board is still facing out, and then the white water makes the turn. Here's another clip from a different angle. And again, the white water is making the turn in this example. Sailing upwind. Right, this is Ragnar's first time sailing in Pozo. For your first time sailing in Pozo, it's really important to stay away from the bunker because it can be pretty gnarly if you're not used to it. You want to really work your way down to it. So Ragnar, in this second turn, you anticipate the cutback and start to turn before the whitewater. This is what we want to avoid. We want to let the whitewater push you. So instead of doing this turn in front of the whitewater, anticipating that top turn, you want to continue that bottom turn up into the whitewater and let it push you back like we saw on the other wave. So that's one of the main things to work on. I think one of the goals to have is when you look at your footage at the end of the session, you never do with it. And so this is another example of it where you can see that you're anticipating this cutback. You start coming around yourself and muscling it. Remember, if you're working hard, you're doing it wrong when it comes to riding waves. The ideal wave riding is about putting your board and your body and your sail all in the right positions and in the right place on the wave, that it all just works and it feels like magic. You're going fast, you're accelerating. It's a wonderful, wonderful, exhilarating feeling, and it at once feels effortless and terrifying and fun. All of the amazing feelings that a human being can feel. It's really worth seeking out. And so if you're working hard, if you feel like you're having to muscle the board around, even though it can feel like that may be what you should be doing, it's not. You want to be putting yourself in the right positions so that the waves do the work. And again, we saw there, Ragnar, where you're letting the wave do the work for you. And that's exactly what we want to see. So coming up to the wave, letting it do the work for you. And so I would say that that's the number one thing for you now to start working on. And it's a little bit sneaky because where you're doing this turn before the whitewater, and this example is a little bit of a combination where you are waiting longer, but you're still doing the turn a little bit before the wave hits you, but you get a little bit of that high five on the bottom of the wave. So here we're working up to it, but you still want to come a little bit farther up the wave and let it do the work for you. But by doing this, it also improves your bottom turn, because if you're anticipating that you have to do the work of the cutback, then you already start going into the bottom turn. You already start going into the cutback while you're doing your bottom turn. And that compromises the quality of your bottom turn. It cuts it off. You lose rail time. There's a lot that really suffers. So Ragnar, the biggest thing is just getting those high fives, not doing the work of the cutback yourself. This is a backside example that we just saw, where again, you can also aim for that higher high five. I mean, there's the high five, so you are getting it. So I think the next step, Ragnar, to work on is getting the consistency where you are never anticipating that cutback and turning before the whitewater. And this is, I think, a really attainable goal, because it looks like now about 50-50 how you're doing it. If we get that habit just gone, I think that's an awesome goal to have. This one on these backsides, you can hit high five this section. This is a beautiful section to high five. And you are getting a bit of the high five. You can come a little bit higher on that wave. You'll pick up even more power from the wave. And again, it's an awesome feeling. So, Ragnar, I hope that's helpful. Thank you for submitting your footage. Awesome video. Looks like you had a great trip. Stoked, stoked, stoked. All right, that was in full screen, so I haven't been checking the chat. Back to the chat. Hello, Rasmus. If you haven't said hello, say hello. This is a good time to do it. Let us know if you're watching. Hey, Max. Um, no sailing, lots of working. Henning's in Browers Dam. Oof, that's a heavy duty freestyle setup for all that wind. What were you working on? Were you working on freestyle moves, or what was your focus? Hey, Mario. Ciao, Mario. Mario, good to see you. Mario's been busy working hard this summer. Nice to hear that you're getting on the water. Axel had a good session in Hands Thumb. Nice, nice. I'm jealous. I'm jealous. Anthem is close, but so far at the moment, just because I've been so busy with other things. But I can't wait to be back there. All right, next up, we've got a post from Rob. Rob is working on the back loop, and they haven't had much wind, but now it is windy, and he's working on the back loop. Rob, I don't remember your last attempt, so I will have to go and look those videos up to see how this compares. But I'm going to do that off camera. We're going to go through these videos on the camera and talk about it. All right, let's throw this into full screen and give it a go. Rob, if you're in the chat, say hello. So I hope you're not hurting yourself, because this is a little bit of a scary over rotation. It's quite over rotated, and the position where you want to think about landing the back loop is about there. So you're coming off the ramp. You could be going more upwind sooner. It's hard for me to see the wind angles, but you're doing quite a bit of carve right off the top of the ramp. And where I would, so to go into the back loop, you do have to be going very much into the wind. But how I like to do it is to get my angle about here, so that I'm going up the ramp straight, which allows me to shoot up straight, rather than in the process of carving. And so if you get that upward angle earlier and then try and go off the ramp straighter, I think that will be productive. The second thing is sheeting in as you go up. So there's like kind of a slight sheet out happening here, but we really want to be sheeting in. All right, Rob, if you're in the chat, let us know. Henning was focusing on coping with the wind and waves after tearing his ligament. Ouch. But managed to pull some helitax. Awesome. All right, so back to the back loop. And then on the way down, you really want to get this. So there's a few things going on here. I mean, even though, Rob, you are close to these, there are multiple points that need to be addressed before you start landing these consistently. One is that windshield wiper motion with the hands, where you're pushing that sail towards the nose and sheeting in, which then kills the rotation, slows you down, allows you to land on the nose. And so you want to have sort of the opposite position of this. So instead of the arms and hands back and slightly sheeted out, the hands are pushed forward towards the nose and slightly sheeted in. And then the head. The head is super important. So you really want to be looking at that landing. And so your head is looking over the shoulder, but it's not quite looking at where you're going to land, because you're going to land somewhere over here. If we follow your eye tracking, it's somewhere here. So you're looking in the direction of travel, but not where you're going to land. And you want to spot your landing from the top, from the apex of the jump, the top of the jump. That's what apex means. It's the top. From the very top, you want to spot your landing, and that will make a big difference. But there's a big but attached to everything that I'm saying. which is that you're very close to landing push loops. And I think this is a difficult one for me um, to say because I'm not there and I'm not watching you. But if you adjust your technique just a little bit, you're going to land these as push loops. And I think that that's probably the way to go, because you're pretty close and you get the technique right. You are going to land these. I hope these scratches don't hurt. They do look gnarly. Like this one, where you almost land it, is really more of a push loop than a back loop, actually. Right? You're not coming down on the nose. You're not coming down wind. You're you're landing on the tail, upright, kind of going back out to sea again. So I think what I would suggest, and it's difficult because I'm not there with you, is well, that's more of a back rotation, but do very similar to what you're doing and just try to get a little bit more rotation out of it. And what that will do is it will push you into a push loop. So there's two main things to think about in the push loop, in my opinion. The first is really feeling like you're rotating over the mass. So it's like you're trying to get your body by rolling it over the mass and getting the mass under you. So you're getting that mass, the luff, underneath your body in the rotation, sort of like that motion that's happening here. So, but you want to get to that point just a little bit earlier. So you can see how your body is sort of rolling and the sail is starting to come under. You bail because there's a lot of rotation here, but if you'd held on, again, you'd come through and go into that push loop. So getting that sort of roll over the mass. Another way to think about that roll over the mass is thinking of it like a reverse cheese roll. So if you've ever done a cheese roll or seen a cheese roll, and you know that feeling of sort of rotating around the mast, that's the same feeling for the push loop. And so I don't know if you guys can see my little sail keychain here. Um, I'll make myself big. So with a back loop, you go up and turn and you come down. It's like a 180. A little bit can be a bit more than a 180, but it really feels like a 180. It does not feel like a 360. It does not feel like a flip. It does not feel like a somersault. The back loop feels kind of like you go up and you fall down the other way. You rotate a little bit more than 180 on most of them, but you're definitely not rotating 360 on most of them. The push loop is similar to the cheese roll in that you go up and then you're rotating around the mast. So the mast sort of becomes the point of rotation. Now, instead of sort of then landing here on your back, which is a way that people do them and can happen, the the way to get the technique right is you come up, you're rotating around the mast, and then at this point, you're sheeting out against the sail and pushing the sail with both hands towards the nose of the board. So you go up, you're rotating around that mast, rolling over the mast, and then you push the sail towards the nose of the board. What's behind my hand there? Let's do that differently. So it goes up, you're rotating around the mast, and then you push it towards the nose of the board. And that's how you get upright and land. And it's that push towards the nose of the board that's characteristic of a push loop. Um, yeah, Henning, the psychology of the front loop is key. We did a front loop course that some of these guys were on, and most of what we covered was actually the psychology. There are two main things we talked about. One is like psychology, and then breaking down the technique into manageable bite-sized pieces. So you're not going from 0 to 100. And there's never a huge cliff that you have to jump off of. We break it down into smaller cliffs. And so then you learn the move step by step. Okay, I am going to, let's get back into the Facebook group. There we go. All right, so that's my advice, Rob. I feel like, so I mentioned in the beginning the technique that needs to change to turn this into a back loop, but I think you should start going for push loops because you're a lot closer actually to landing a push loop than a back loop. If that makes sense. So take my advice and run with it. Oh, here are the comments. Can't come in. Yeah, so people are commenting. There's some good comments in here. But yeah, you can take these in and go for the back loops, or just go for the push loops because you are pretty close. I think it depends how controlled you feel. If you feel pretty controlled in this maneuver, go for the push loops because the technique is pretty close. If you feel like you're on the edge of hurting yourself with these crashes, dial it way back and work on the back loop. And you're gonna it's more work than you think. For doing the back loop, it's more work than you think. I hate being negative, but it's farther than you think. Even though it feels like you're coming close to landing these, you're coming close to landing the push loops, not the back loops. And I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news there. But the good news is you're almost landing push loops, which is awesome. Push loops are very, very cool, fun move as well. So yeah, take it how you want. All right, let's move on. All right, so Jan is looking for straps in this color, the Decine straps. I don't have any. Maybe he found some. Okay. All right. Who's going to Ginshu this week? Or no, that's next week. A little bit even, yeah, next week. I think the conditions are good. The forecast is good. All right, Rich. Rich has had some good conditions. He's been working on his forward loops. And so he says, looking back is really the key thing to make the good whip. Yeah, looking back is magic. And I know that this messes with people's brains because they're like, it's a forward loop. Why should I look back? But if you look at the rotation, we look at this video, and I'll make it full screen in a second. Look, you'll see that looking back is looking in the direction of the rotation, right? Like here, he's going to land, where Rich is not really looking back. He's going to land somewhere over here. That's the direction he's rotating, right? He's rotating over this way, but he's looking behind him. He's looking backwards, actually. And so if you're looking in the direction of where you're going, it's incredibly helpful for feeling comfortable, slowing down the maneuver, because you can see, oftentimes, this is a good heuristic. If you feel like a move is happening too fast and you don't know what's happening during a rotation or when something's happening, it's often because your head is looking the wrong way. You're not looking where you're going, and so then that's where it feels like you don't know where you are. It feels sort of dark. It feels disorienting. It feels like it's happening really fast. But if you're looking in the direction that you're traveling, it slows down time because you have all of this stimuli coming in that your brain starts to process. It makes it so that you don't feel disoriented, not dizzy, because you can see what's happening. It's the same as if you were spinning in a room doing spins just on the ground, not windsurfing, and you kept your head looking straight. You would get dizzy. It would be disorienting. Whereas how dancers or whoever are doing spins are taught to do it is you choose a spot. I guess this is a little bit different. Maybe my analogy is falling apart. Anyway, the point is that where you're looking determines whether you feel dizzy or disoriented, or whether the motion is happening too fast. And if you have that feeling, the solution is going to be something with your eyes and your head. And so for the forward loop, you want to really be looking back. It makes a huge difference. All right, let's make this full screen. Oh, there we go. There's like a really forceful looking back. And you could do it even longer and earlier. So you can start looking back off the ramp. And so, Rich, if you're comfortable, you could start looking back even before this moment. But you can really see. So if we compare the first forward, so there had some look back, but I guess it's the second one doesn't have much look back, where then you're really landing on the back, push the sail up, and then the third one where you're getting this pretty aggressive look back, bam, you're landing with the sail up, beautiful. And you can do it earlier and hold it longer, and it is like magic. The loop feels slower, you feel like you have more control, and you get more rotation, which I guess means you're rotating faster. So you rotate faster, but it feels slower. So you can really land on your board. Yeah. So right on. This is great. The only thing I would say, Rich, is that you can do it a little bit more even. It's awesome. Um, here's one of the comments from Dennis. Dennis has been working hard on his forwards over the last couple of years, and they're looking solid. So his piece of advice that was a game changer was to really bring the rig wide open and windward when initiating the rotation. Yeah, this is really helpful. Once you start getting to higher levels and forwards, this is so important for getting that nice rotation where you're pushing the sail into the wind and kind of sheet it out, and then you pull in, and it's like then the sail becomes like a catapult throwing you up into the air and around in this beautiful controllable sideways horizontal rotation. So Rich is saying that learning the forward for him has been mostly mental, which makes sense. I think that's true for most people. But awesome, man. Those are solid forwards. You're landing it. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. And then you can try what Dennis is talking about too. I mean, it's never too early to try this, where you're sort of sheeting out a little bit as you're going to the rotation and pushing that sail into the wind. So like sort of pushing it, yeah, into the wind over to the windward side of the board. And yeah, it really helps set up a nice rotation. There is a wave event in Norway. I guess that's happening this weekend. How did it go? If you were competing in it, let us know. All right, Erasmus is looking for a new harness. So I think the pictures are just for show, but he's looking for a new harness. I really like the Dakine. I'll show you what I like. I like, my current favorite harness is this one. And where do we see it here on the Dakine site? It is this one. Super lightweight. And I think this is the same. They called it something different last year. They called it the Travel Renegade Ultralight. But I think it's the same one as this. This is just the new model. It's super lightweight. It's stiff enough, but flexy enough for what I need. Easy to travel with. This is what I like. But everyone has different needs when it comes to harnesses. Some people really like the sort of the hip harness, the butt harness. So Thomas is always pushing the hip harness. He probably commented on this. And I haven't tried he's got an invention. I haven't tried that, but I have ridden my harness super low, like on my the top of my femur, sort of where the femur connects with the with your pelvis, and it feels really good. It feels really good. It feels nice. You have a lot of control. You're able to really use your weight more effectively. It's not something where I've adopted a harness modification to always sail that way, but when I do have my harness way down there, it feels good. Takes some pressure off the lower back. Um, so if you, for me, I don't have an issue how I sail with my harness currently. It feels fine. If you do have an issue, if you do have some back pain, then it's really worth experimenting and looking at something like the hip harness from Thomas, or some of these other harnesses that are not traditional, either going stiffer or flexier or seat harness. It can be helpful. This one has a fixed bar, the one I like. And I like a fixed bar. So I learned on a sliding bar, but my feeling was that because I like a loose harness, the sliding bar doesn't work. And so then I taught myself how to use a fixed bar. And it was weird because normally you learn on a fixed bar or a sliding bar and the other one feels terrible. And so I'd learned on a sliding bar, but I realized I wanted to wear a really loose harness. And so then the problem is if you have a sliding bar with loose harness, the bar becomes really floppy, and I didn't want that. All right, and that's how I was sailing, and I didn't like it because then the bar was flopping all over the place. So then I taught myself how to sail with a fixed hook harness, and I have it loose enough that it rotates around my body, so it wasn't actually that hard to get used to learn how to sail with a fixed hook. But then it allows me to have a loose harness, and the hook is still rigid and stable. And it has so you're saying a clip or a buckle. It has, I guess, a clip. It's got like a little thing that it clips into. It feels secure. Um, check out Rasmus. Check out the Renegade Travel Light. It doesn't have any back curve. It's pretty flat. Um, I have one. Um, it's fixed bar, and it's really a thin, super lightweight harness. The Pyro and the Thermalform, the T8, the T9, the T10, all of those are relatively heavy. I've used those too and like them, but the Travel Renegade Light is a different kind of harness, and I love it. It's, for me, the right amount of flex, the right amount of stiffness, super lightweight, a lot more minimal. It doesn't have all that foam. It's made of a different material. It doesn't have the thermal form, shaping, pre-shape, seam shape, all of that stuff. Like if I go back to here and let's look at it. I don't know if they don't really show, but let's see. 'Cause I did a video about these harnesses. So, oh, we gotta watch an ad. Turn this off. All right, skip ad. All right. So here's a little video I did about this harness for the kind, and so you can see, I just want to show you how much curve there is in it. So do I show you the curve in the inside? You can see a little bit. So it doesn't have um, that back curve like the thermoform or the other harnesses. You can see like on the inside there where I have my hands, it's pretty flat. And yeah, I'm super happy with this harness. It's, yeah, I'm trying to find another. You can see it's also a lot more flexible than some of these other Dakine ones, which are not really made to travel with. They're not designed like that. Anyway. Hopefully that's helpful. All right, back to the group. Nice, Andre with the kids. Cool. And boom, boom, boom. We're caught up. Awesome possum. So let's all right, guys. Thank you for showing up. I hope you're getting on the water. I know the forecast still looks good for upcoming days, weeks. I am going to be in San Sebastian, País Basque, starting this coming weekend, Saturday onward. I'm with some college friends, but if you're in the area, let me know, and maybe we can say hi or something. I'll be busy. If there are waves and wind, I'll try to get on the water, but we'll see. I'm there to see some college friends whom I haven't seen in a very long time, uh, and then I'm back to actually. Then I go to Marseille, where I'm meeting up with Taboo, the Taboo guys, and I'm going to do some interviews with Fabian, the shaper from Taboo, about board design for the group. So if you have questions, I'll do a poll, or not a poll. I'll do a post in the Facebook group anyway about questions for Fabian, and I will, yeah, ask him about board design, development, shape, all of that stuff. So anyway, that's a little bit what my schedule looks like, and then rolling into the master classes in Denmark in September, which I'm also excited about. And again, we've got one spot free in the first one. The house is fully booked, but there is one spot in the master class, September 2nd to 7th. If you're interested, DM me and I'll send you the application to apply. All right, guys, have a good week. Have a wonderful week. Thank you for joining. Get some footage, get some photos, get some video. Most importantly, get on the water. And I hope to see you next week, Sunday. Take care. Bye bye.